Welcome back to the Wanderers. What a good session that was for South Africa. They won the toss and elected to bat on a track which is straw-coloured. So I think it's going to be a pretty important toss to win. And 88 for 1 is the scoreline at lunch. Markham 53 not out. He's had a wonderful start to his international career, and he's going to be looking to continue with that after the break. Okay, now, over the last week, we've talked a lot of stuff that hasn't been played here in the middle. We've been talking about the broadcast as well. So what we thought we'd do today is we just introduce you as to how television broadcast works in an international game. So you've seen some footage over the last few days, and obviously it's gone to air all over the world. We thought we'd introduce you to all the aspects of how a broadcast is put together so you have a better idea about what things happen or how things happen and how things really get going. So we're going to introduce you to all the cameras. The camera I'm speaking to at the moment is one of our spin vision cameras. And it's Sandeli who's up there, whose nickname is Midnight. He's operating that one. So here's one camera I'm going to introduce shortly. We've also got Harrow, who's camera number 5. He's mid-wicket, and he's a very experienced cameraman, as is Sandeli, by the way, and he's done lots of work around the world. We're very fortunate that a lot of our cameramen that are doing these broadcasts for SuperSport are guys who have been all over the world and have been doing this job for a long time. Alex is up there, also on spin vision. He's another one who's done a lot of work around the world, and someone that does the spin vision, which is the great vision we see when the ball is released by the bowlers and the spinners get involved. But you'll see more of that later. So I'm going to introduce all the guys shortly that are going to be manning the cameras here. We've got 30 cameras in total, by the way, and we've got 18 that are manned by terrific cameramen and really good guys. But first of all, what I want to do before you come back to me and have a look at all that, I want to go to Mark Nicholas, who's in the engine room, in the van, in the production van, to give you an insight as to what happens with the hard-working boys in that van. Mark, where are you?
Well, I'm right here in the heartbeat of this operation, Hazy. It's very detailed, quite primitive conditions. There are 5/6 trucks working on this operation, and this is the central one, the production truck. And in here we have the director. You pick me up on audio? Is that all going well? So we have a director working down here, Alvin Nyko, who's also the head of production at SuperSport. And then Eddie here, who is the other director. These two have to alternate through the day. It's a very, very long day. There are approximately 30 people working in this very small area. The air conditioning pumps away. I'd forgotten how cold it can get in here. So you can see the guys in their thick winter jackets and even a bobble hat for the vision mixer and the graphic guy down there. So here we have a whole heap of monitors, and they're all doing different things. Those top 12, we are given coloured names, and they drive VT, videotape. So everything that we replay to you comes off a colour. Names are cameramen, or camera ladies indeed, and the director has the opportunity to call for any shot from any of those cameras at any time. And then we move along towards the extracurricular stuff. There's a commentator cam, something I can't stand there, that keeps an eye on us in the commentary box and makes sure that we can't misbehave or even abuse the director while he's at work. So you would ask, how on earth can they make a choice of picture? There are so many options. I'm going to bring Eddie in here. Eddie had his own, or has his own, production company, so a very smart guy that understands television implicitly well. Eddie, when you're faced with the choice of this many options, what is it? Instinct that takes over?
Instinct and storyline, driven by storyline and what's happening currently. So you just follow the action and stuff.
So narrative, moments presumably are driven by the best angles. How do you choose those?
What we do, the best angle, we've got so many cameras, so what we do, because we don't have enough time to play everything, so we take the best angles first, give it to the viewer, and then later on we can go and with the supporting angles of what actually we're talking about.
Now you have a direct line to the commentators, so we work very closely with Eddie and Alvin. We have earpieces, this kind of thing hanging in our ear that they communicate to us what they'd like to go to air, and equally we communicate back to them what we'd like to go to air. But you also have to work with the umpire when DRS comes up.
Yeah, as soon as DRS comes up, the umpire opens up his comms. He tells me exactly what he's looking for. So everyone in the truck, we line up, we listen to what he actually wants. Then there's a sequence. We start with the no ball, the release, the impact, if there's a bat, and then from there he's happy, ultra edge, if there was any, then from here a lot, and then obviously ball tracking. Then from there, he can decide, make a decision, go back to the umpire on the field. He tells him, you're on air, make a decision, then he makes a decision.
Okay, so we're working not just with our commentary team, with the game itself, but also with the law keepers, the policemen of the game. This is Ria, who's the director's assistant. She counts us in and out of every single item that goes to air. We are very precise in this business. Alvin, I've talked about vision mixer here. So every time a picture is called for, someone has to locate it on that desk. A lot of buttons to push. And over there, the starter graphics. This operation, graphics, is driven by two things mainly. Data, live data, ongoing data. With every single ball, the graphics change because a cricketer's career has just altered by the bowling of that ball. And then there's preset data when they set up things that we particularly want to evaluate, or indeed when a batsman comes in, there's preset data about his record at that moment. Same too with the bowler. Now, I'm going to go next door into the audio truck, because audio is very complex. You can imagine how important it is to get sound exactly right. So many little aspects of this. God, I'm wading over. Do you know how much cable there is on this production? Something like 3.5 kilometers of cable running through a crew of 80 people. So 80 people are working on SuperSport's production. This is Vincent. I've come inside to the audio truck, and what people at home want to know, Vincent, is the stump mic. We can hear the players on that stump mic. How do you lift that, and when do you lift that up and down?
I'm told that I can only lift it when the bowler is running. As soon as it goes past the batsman or gets to the wicketkeeper, I have to drop it because of the nice little chit-chats they have with each other. If he does hit it towards the boundary, I can only, once the guy on the boundary throws the ball back to the wicketkeeper, I can open the stump mics again.
Could you write a book about the stuff you've heard but can't put to air?
Probably more than one book, yes.
You're in a very privileged position here. You're also presumably determined by the strength and volume of each commentator's voice.
Absolutely. Even though most people don't understand how quiet you guys really are. There's only one guy that I know that actually doesn't need a microphone. You can hear him from the field.
Who's that?
Jeremy Fredericks.
Yeah, the Rhino, we call him, the Rhino. Okay, so this is audio. Now, Vincent controls these desks here, but of course there's 5 other people in audio. We're now going to go through to videotape. Videotape's quite an interesting thing. The recording of everything that takes place is, of course, what leads to such things as the recent ball tampering incident. We were able to show replays of that. Simply the brilliance of stroke play or bowling. Simply the recording of history that will then be replayed forevermore. All comes from the tapes through here. Now, SuperSport has 12 channels on the go. To my knowledge, it's the biggest sporting network of channels anywhere in the world. So a lot of content is required. And therefore, videotape is very important for content, because we need to store this stuff and then make programs from it. It's not just live sport that goes out all the time. This is Richard, who's the editor, the number one boy here in videotape. And you're challenged every day, aren't you? Because the director can call up something in a split second, you have to provide it.
And the commentators as well, Mark. They're quite often on the ball talking about what's happened in previous matches, in the current match. So, yeah, we have to pretty much be on the ball, so to speak.
And how extensive is your archive?
It goes quite far back, 2011, 2010. We try and draw on past productions that we've worked on. And then we keep test matches that we've done as well in the current series.
The great changer was a thing called an EVS machine in terms of recording. What exactly does an EVS machine do that you couldn't do previously?
Yeah, it's an absolute game changer. Previously, we worked on tapes, so as soon as you stopped recording and went back to play back something, the recording would stop. Nowadays, we work with, like you said, what's called an EVS. It's a hard drive, a hard disk-based EVS or a PC or a server, and then that continuously records. We can clip footage off that record train, we can store it, we can play back footage instantly. As soon as it's happened, we can turn it around straight away.
Wow, fascinating. Behind me is two other aspects of the production. The room's a bit too small and dark to actually go into, because I want to take you to Hawkeye in a minute. But behind me is engineering. Now, we want engineering to be doing nothing ever, because when they're working, we got a problem. Behind them is lighting, or racks as it's known in this business. And what they're doing with cameras is letting more or less light into the pictures to create a perfect image through high definition and color. They're very dependent on the contrast, the strength, the power of color. So in this one production truck alone are upwards of 30 people working in this tiny environment to bring the pictures. I'm going to get back to Mike Haseman and make my way to Hawkeye.
Right, Mark, thanks very much. Nice insight behind the scenes there. 30 seems to be the magic number. 30 cameras and 18 man cameras. Time for me now to introduce you to the various cameras around the place. The call it drive end is that side, and we have got camera number 1 up there, and camera number 1 up there is that's Lloyd. He's up there. In fact, no, it's Stretch. Sorry, that's my mistake. Stretch is up there, and that's the shot that camera number 1 is giving us in that region. And he is wicket to wicket, so that's an important shot. G'day, Stretch. Happiest man in the world, that one, always smiling. Alongside him is camera number 2, and that is also Yoko. Yoko is at camera number 2. Now he's going to be a ball follower. So as the ball is delivered, hello, Yoko. Yoko allows the ball to be followed, obviously, as you see it sitting in your lounge room, maybe watching the telecast, and you can find out what's going on. So there's a shot of what Yoko does. There you go. That's a perfect example of what he does all the time throughout the day. And sometimes these cameramen get a feel of what the game is doing. Sometimes they just do their job and stay behind that viewfinder, and it's a pretty tiring day, as you can imagine. So that's a call it drive end for starters. What I'm going to do now is go to the golf course end and just get involved with a couple of boys up there. So camera number 3 is Mondi, and there's Mondi in the middle. G'day, Mondi. Keep up the good work, mate. Alongside him is Lloyd. That's camera number 4. There's Lloyd. I think whilst I'm there, let's get Midnight out and just say hello to Midnight. He gave us a shot earlier. There's Midnight. That's his nickname, Sandili. So he's a hard-working man. So there you go. There's the boys that do all the work. And let's see what Midnight shows us. So this is also what Alex shows us as well. So it really is a very specified job. Someone described to me, actually, the best way to think about what these guys do is you roll up a piece of paper and watch a bird fly through the sky and see if you can actually keep that bird in that rolled up piece of paper as it goes through the sky. So that's how challenging it is to do that. And there's Midnight up there working hard, and he's got a partner the other side. Where's Alex? Big Al's made himself a little bit smaller by the looks of it. I know there he is. There's Big Al. So Al is there. He's very experienced, and he's also the other spin vision cameraman. Right, camera 5 is an important camera, and that's Andrew Harris. Harrow's the man. He's the man that gets that shot, and he's now coming down towards me. So Harrow provides that shot at mid-wicket, and it's always a very important shot to get. So there's Harrow, also one of the boys that travel the world. And also, I mean, Harrow's very important, actually. Harrow's very important for a director. He's one of the guys that also, this is it, side on from Andrew Harris. He's one of the guys the director looks to pick up those standard shots that go to the covers, to mid-wicket, and any of these ones that go down that region. So Harrow's a very important man involved in a broadcast. Let's move along to camera number 6. So camera number 6 is a slips camera. And there's camera number 7, by the way. There's 6. There's Jacques. He's a slips cameraman. He's done lots of sports throughout the world. So let's have a look at what Jacques does. That's camera number 6. That's a shot he picks up. Of course, slips camera, because if there's a nick, he can get the slips behind as well. We've also got camera number 7. Tabo is doing camera number 7, and he's getting a nice shot of the boys at the moment. Lots of action. There's Tabo. G'day, mate. Keep up the good work as well. Let's go to 8 and 9. Where's Lebo? Lebo is one of the boys who's always in action. Lebo's got a bit of a habit, actually, when South Africa's in the field. Lebo is one of these guys. He gives us lots of shots, always offering shots. Hard-working cameraman. Whenever the ball's in his vicinity, you'll find Lebo in South Africa in the field. He'll pick that ball up and give it a little kiss, actually, for good luck. And he reckons some of the boundaries that have happened after that is not his fault. So he's always trying to support the South African boys, and very experienced cameraman as well. Here's Oscar, day 1. He's in his suit. Always nice to see Oscar looking nice and smart on day one. Let's have a look and see what Oscar always provides. He's on camera number 9, so also on the ground. And he's on that shot, and also a very good cameraman, of course. So we're going to bring you now to camera number 10, which is a very important camera as well. These are the cameras I love. These are ultra motion cameras. So all those super slow-mo shots that you see from time to time, provided by these guys. Fundo, there he is. Camera number 10 in his chair, but these are the ones that he provides. You see those lovely shots where you get the bat vibrating, and we didn't know a bat really bent when a ball was hitting the bat from the fast bowlers, but now we do know that. The frames per second are quite amazing. And there's Clive. He does the same job. Let's have a look and see what Clive's going to be providing. There we go. That's what he's been looking at as we've been going along. All right, so where's Michael? Michael's always the man. In Cape Town, he was in the turret at the top of the stand. So Michael's up in the high spot again. This is Michael's shot, and that's where Michael is. G'day, Michael. He's nice and warm up there. He's the first to let us know if it rains because he gets wet right up on the top of the stand, but that's an important job and provides us with some nice beauty shots as well. So here you go. Here's Michael. The shots that we get from him. So all these guys are just sewing together with the help of the boys in the band, sewing together the broadcast, providing unbelievable shots. And I got to invite, obviously, my man, Robocop, Sipo. Here's the man. Sipo, let's just turn this around. Can we turn this around, Sipo? There we go. Here's my boy. Here he is, Sipo. We call him Robocop because he's got all this sort of equipment around the place. He's the guy that gives all these shots, and he's got the steady cam as well. So Sipo's certainly on the game all the time. It's always nice to work with Sipo. Let's go to the jib. The jib is quite a nice one. This is where you see, when you see Brendan Julian doing some work, you see all the boys and also the pre-game and also at lunchtime. All the guys are often working at the jib. And that's Franny, who's doing the jib at the moment. Who else have we got? Oh, there we go. There's Franny on the jib. And also we bring in some of this. We call this some AI, we call this augmented reality, and we bring that from time to time through the jib as well. So that also helps with the broadcast. Right, who haven't we got here? We've got a camera that's following Mark Nicholas as well. We've got a spy cam as well in the commentary box, which is really important. This is where the director keeps. Hello, Mikey.
Hi, yes, this is a box that everyone that does commentary doesn't particularly like. When this camera is focusing on us, as Mark Nicholas said, you have to behave yourself up here because everyone in the truck can see you, especially the director. No, we don't do a lot of work. That is totally honest. We commentate, yes, and we have a fantastic view here looking straight down the pitch, but we get a lot of help. Sitting behind me, I'm not too sure if you can see Books, who is our producer. He's the one who decides who works when and exactly how the production is going to be put together. And if you zoom down, you'll see a gentleman here in a blue shirt, Keith Lane. He provides all the statistics. So when you hear us say, oh, that's his 3rd century in 5 test matches, we haven't got it up here, folks. It's all Keith, believe it or not. Now we have a little box here that allows us to do what our job entails, which is to commentate, but also to talk to the director and to hear everything that's going on. Mark Nicholas showed you that we wear something. We have something in our ear that allows us to hear the director. Well, we also have to be able to talk to the director, and this box helps us to do that. Now, if you take a close look here, all these buttons are labeled, but this yellow one that I'm about to press, when I press that, for instance, if I want to tell the director I would like to see a particular side of the field, I want to see the offside because the field has changed, or I want to see the onside, or I want to see a man that's fielding deep at fine leg, or I want to focus on a particular batsman, or if I want to also get a package built, I have to talk to the director. He gets a package built, and then when it's ready, he lets me know, and we then discuss it up here. It's 3 of us that fit in this tight space here. If you come back into the commentary box, you'll see 2 screens to my left here. One is what we watch, which is live play. And the other one that you'll see at the bottom here has a lot of numbers on it. We call that the fruit machine. That gives us all the statistics. Not too sure if you can read that to see it says South Africa lead by 88. Well, that's their first inning score at the moment. You can see who the batsmen are, see the amount of runs they have, the balls they have faced, the fours they have hit, the sixes, their strike rate, the minutes at the crease. You see the bowlers, overs, maidens, runs, wickets. Everything up here is provided for us. So it's not that difficult. One last thing I'll tell you before we leave. These commentary boxes are usually quite cold. I can only assume that they keep them cold so that they can neutralize all the hot air that we keep blowing out.
Terrific, Mike. I cannot believe you gave away our secret. All those stats are in my... No, they're not. You're right. It is our stats man that gives us all the information, scribbling bits of paper for us and letting us know what the deal is. Right, Mark Nicholas is still busy. He's by the production van now. He's with some guys that I rely on very heavily for the touchscreen stuff. Mark, where are you now?
I'll tell you where I am, Hazy. I'm right by the most important piece of this whole operation, and that's the satellite, because the uplink obviously heads to space. Okay, so without this dish we can't get to space, so we go to space and then we drop it back to Johannesburg and to the BT Tower in London. Johannesburg spreads it around South Africa, the BT Tower spreads it around the world. So it's just the most phenomenal operation, and from there to there and back to homes in the whole of the world takes 4 seconds. No more. 4 seconds. You haven't quite got time to get a bet on. Now, follow me to Hawkeye, because this is quite interesting. Hawkeye is... we'll just jump over this tape. You've got to be careful. Well done. We're going well. This is this little truck here, van you might call it. Hawkeye began way back at the turn of the century at the Roke Manor Research Centre in Romsey. A guy called Paul Hawkins and the Channel 4 people worked on the idea of making more of LBW. How could we better explain LBW? How could we maybe assist officials in the future? But at the time, the idea behind Hawkeye was to simply improve the viewer experience. Of course, in the end, the ICC took it on, and it now drives a lot of umpires' decision making. This is Ravi, who's a key man at Hawkeye, and there are 4 guys hanging out in this little space all day long. Look at them. How many cameras are needed to make Hawkeye work?
So we've got 6 cameras at this ground, running at 340 frames, and they're all synced up, so we can always know where the ball is in relation to the pitch at any point in time. And we use that also for the Ultra Edge system, with the audio that we take in from the Stump Mics, which are added in to the synced frames, and we get our audio from our Ultra Edge audio from that. And in addition to that, we also have our stats system, which demonstrates all the data that we collect, which is an awful lot of it. And we also have wagon wheels, delivery, just sort of that sort of things, which can really help us to analyse the game at a very good level, and provides a great insight, and really I think helps the commentators as well.
The biggest issue that faces everybody who watches cricket on television is the predicted path of the ball. Okay, the path of the ball after it hits the pad at an LBW. Let's get straight to the nub of this thing. Do you tell us it's 100% right?
Absolutely. From a mathematical point of view, when you predict any model of a particle, in this case a ball, it will we show that it continues in the same path that is demonstrated from our tracking, and then continues along in that fashion after the point of impact, and then we can mathematically show that anything that, as the ball travels up to that point, it will then continue on that trajectory.
Okay. Has there ever been a moment sitting in this truck where you thought, uh-oh, I'm not so sure about this one?
Absolutely not. Like, we're very secure with what we put to air, and we're always happy that the data we have is completely accurate.
When we did the experiments way back in 2000 with Paul at Roke Manor Research, I must say you were 100% right even back then, but of course we weren't doing live cricket. Thanks, guys. Very interesting. So just a little reminder of the story. 80 people are working on this production every day. We've got 3.5 kilometers of cable going around this ground, and we've got a very intense workplace. There's a lot of people in a very small area. As Michael Holding pointed out, the ones who have it easy are up in the commentary box.
Okay, so there it is. I hope you've enjoyed that. Gives you a bit more of an insight as to how a broadcast is put together. And, of course, we've got all these cameramen. We've got in the production rooms. We've got the Hawkeye boys, the commentary box. We've got all sorts of stuff. I've got to tell you also, we've got a really nice crowd that is turning up now. So I think it's going to be nice and festive for the last couple of sessions today on Good Friday. And South Africa, obviously, right now in a really good position at lunch on day one. They are 88 for 1.